Good morning. So it's Emancipation morning, 1st of August, 2022. And we have to examine where we are. We have to know where we came from. We have to know where we're going. Could you imagine if we waited until every motor car had seat belts fitted before we passed the seatbelt law? Could you imagine if we waited for every factory or workshop to be properly equipped before we passed the OSHA law in 2004? Now, it might seem like a silly set of questions, but that is what we are faced with today with respect to our public procurement law in this country. And the public procurement law was passed 7 years ago in January of 2015, and it still has not been implemented. That law is designed to protect us, our common interests, the money belonging to you and me and the unborn generations, from grand corruption. The PNM took office in September 2015, and they've made 3 amendments to the law to get it into the shape that they prefer. That's part of the political system. I didn't agree with all the changes. Some were good, most weren't good. They made their changes. 6 months ago, in January of 2022, all the regulations for the procurement law were put in place. And those regulations are the tools to make the law work. Yet here we are on the 22nd of June 2022, our Attorney General could address the Parliament and keep a press conference to explain that we're not ready, the administration is not ready to implement the procurement law. The first reason the Attorney General gave us was that the public bodies, the procuring agencies that transact in public money, were not ready. There was a state of unpreparedness in most of those agencies. Well, we already discussed the seatbelt example and the OSHA example, so we could recognize that as being a brand of nonsense. Because in fact, the government has a right, and they exercise it whenever they so please. They have the right to dismiss people who do not please them, who do not carry out instructions, up to and including the governor of the central bank, who recently won a case for unfair dismissal against the Minister of Finance. It happens all the time. So if it is that the government wants the law to be put in place, and certain public servants or state enterprises are not following the instructions, they should simply be dismissed. There will be no valid claims for costs because it will be dismissed for failing or refusing to carry out a valid order. The second reason the Attorney General gave us, which is even more unacceptable than the first reason, was that the Chief Justice had written him a 29-page submission on problems in implementing the procurement law. The first problem the Chief Justice supposedly identified was a problem around the separation of powers, which in fact is a deeply constitutional and legal point. And the trouble with that one is that the Chief Justice's covering letter, the one the Attorney General read from, told us the Chief Justice was not going to make any legal points. So which one is it? Secondly, we're being told that we'll be subjected to a flood of litigation, to the extent that it's likely we'd have to set up a commercial court. And I say that's untenable. The arrangements in the Act, not to mention one of the PNM amendments put in place by Minister Imbut, was to create a procurement dispute board chaired by a former judge, precisely to allow complainants to have an opportunity before they go to the High Court to have a second hearing. Now, the crux of the thing is, what did the Chief Justice tell the Attorney General? The JCC has asked for it. The Attorney General promised to publish it and release it to stakeholders. He hasn't done so. I understand he's claiming that he, out of respect for the Chief Justice and such and such. I've applied for the documents. The letter the Chief Justice wrote in response to the AG's letter. I've asked for the AG's letter as well. I applied on the 27th of June 2022 under the Freedom of Information Act, and that I've been getting a lot of evasive replies. We need to know what was the basis of the decision. What we are looking at here is a threat to our collective interests on this Emancipation morning. That's the message. Okay, I know lots of ministers will be talking at the parade and all that kind of thing. That's the message. The collective interest is in jeopardy. And this is what happens when you do the wrong thing and you can't explain. So you end up having to talk stupidness or stay quiet or lie. And we expect better from our leaders, and we will continue to insist on it. Release this Chief Justice's submission for us to see it. Justice is not a cloistered value. It must be submitted to the scrutiny and criticism of ordinary men. Thank you.